Good afternoon.
Good afternoon
Afternoon,
po.
sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, sir.
Hmm?
Good afternoon po, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. All right, so while waiting for the others, please do get your textbook. Thank you.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Wait lang kayo, ma'am, yung ano ba sinabi ni Sir Ted sa section? Kaya,
All right, please open your camera now, guys. Thank you.
hindi, kasi may story naman na tayo. Diba, musical? Yung part mo, ano?
There you go. Thanks. Please
Nalalan.
get your textbook also. Open it to page, the topic about exponential function, 3.1, I think. So again, please open your camera. A lot of you are not yet opening their camera. To those who cannot, you know the drill. Thanks. All right, please to get your textbook. I'm going to use the data there in discussing exponential functions. So last time, I let you watch videos about exponential functions, the introduction to exponential functions, and how to graph exponential functions. Now, if you have noticed, in graphing functions, there is always a need for us to make a table of values, right? Okay, there's a need for us to make a table of values, and then those values, we have to plot that one in a Cartesian plane. And whatever the values there for your x and for your y, then you can just plot that one and then connect all the points, then you have your graph. Now, based on your observation with the video last time, now what can you say about a graph of an exponential function? Anyone? Please unmute. What can you say about the graph of an exponential function? Yes. Okay. Never touch the x-axis because your x-axis is your asymptote there. Okay, never touch the x-axis. It goes closer and closer, but it will not touch the x-axis. Okay, so what else? So if you are given only in quadrant 1 and 2, okay, good. Now guys, if you are given an exponent, if an equation, for example, now can you identify if it's an exponential function or not? Yes or no? Yes, you can. Okay. Yes, you can identify. Now, you need to know the different characteristics, okay, or properties of exponential functions and their graphs. It was shown yesterday, the other day in the video, the different characteristics or properties. You also have there page 114, again, page 114. Go to page 114. You have there the properties of exponential functions and their graphs. Okay, you have there f of x equals b to the power of x. Again, for exponential function, your variable x is your exponent. It's no longer your base. Okay, b must be greater than 1 for it to be an exponential function. Your base must be greater than 1 and must not be equal to 1 for your base. Okay, you have there the domain is the set of all real numbers, negative to positive infinity. The range or your y values is the set of positive real numbers, 0 to infinity. So if b is greater than 1 or your base is greater than 1, f is an increasing exponential function, pataas. Okay? And if b is greater than 0 but less than 1, then you have a decreasing exponential function. And the function passes through the point 0, 1, okay, located on the y-axis 0, 1, because f of 0, any number, but we have to include laws of exponent here. Any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, and the graph approaches but does not reach the x-axis, and the x-axis there is your horizontal asymptote. No problem, Karen? Okay. Now, balikan natin dito. Okay, page 109. Please go back. Page 109. 108, 109. So there you have there the laws that we consider for exponential function, the zeros as an exponent and negative exponent. We have discussed that one already in the previous chapter. Now we have there the different transformation of a graph through reflection, translation, or glide reflection. Now, how are we going to reflect a certain exponential function? How are we going to translate, or how are we going to do glide reflection? All of these are transforming an exponential function. So let's have there an example. Okay, example 1. We'll follow this one through a figure. Okay, before we go to graph, or by just looking at an equation, an exponential function. So what can we say? Is it shrinking? Is it uh, expanding, or is it reflecting, or is it translating? Okay, because through an equation we can say how many units is it shifting to the right, shifting to the left, shifting upward, or shifting downwards. Okay, by just looking at the equation later on. So tingnan natin dito sa example 1. Reflect each figure across the given axis. So look at there, the axis for letter A, the axis is the y-axis. For letter B, it's also the y-axis. And for letter C, it's the x-axis. Follow me in your book, please. Okay, so reflecting across the given axis for your letter P, or that illustration or that figure, look at there the reflection, pabaliktad. Okay, the word is reflection. Now we are reflecting that one. Also, your triangle PQR or polygon PQR, when you reflect that one through the y-axis, then that will be its reflection. And for your letter C, you have their polygon ABCD or CABD. When you reflect that one on its x-axis, that will be its reflection. Okay, we're talking about here reflection. Okay, now let's go to letter or example 2. Example 2 talks about translation. Yes, go ahead, Villamor. Translation. So when you say translation, you will be translating this figure to a certain units to the left, to the right, upward, or downward. So translate each shape in the direction indicated by the arrow. Now for this case, for example 2, is just indicated by the arrow. So you're just translating this one to this direction. So look at there for your letter M, translated to this direction. Again, hindi binaliktad ha, kasi hindi naman reflection. You are just translating. And for your letter B, you translated your polygon ABC or triangle ABC upwards. Look at there the translation. But what if you are translating a certain figure as indicated by the number of units upward, downward, leftward, or rightward? Look at their example number 3. Translate the triangle. Look at the triangle. 4 units to the left and 3 units to 3 units upward. Okay, so 4 units to the left. So you have to take into consideration yung edge ng triangle. Okay, how many yung units naman natin is yung by box natin. Yan yung units natin. So say for example the okay, let me share screen here. I hope you follow me in your book, guys, ha? Okay, nandiyan lang yung illustration. Okay, say for example, that's your triangle there and you're going to shift that one. Okay, so magbibilang ka kung, halimbawa, itong corner na to ng triangle na to, okay, yan yung pagbabasehan mo, pero it was stated there that you are going to shift or translate the triangle 4 units to the left. Okay, so ibig sabihin, magbibilang ka 1, 2, 3, 4. But this edge here, make sure na to the left 4 units, pero sinabi din dito na 3 units up. You count 1, 2, 3. So ibig sabihin, nandito na yung bagong edge ng triangle na to. By using a graphing paper, then you can have there your translated figure as indicated by the movement there, upward and leftward. And letter B, translate the parallelogram 3 units to the right and 2 units down. Okay, 3 units to the right and 2 units down. Look at there the illustration, the parallelogram. It was translated to that direction. 3 units to the right, you count 1, 2, 3 by each corner of your graphing paper, and then 2 units downward, then that will be its illustration. All right. Now, another one is yung glide reflection. Glide reflection, it is a combination of reflection and translation. Okay, kaya tinawag siyang glide reflection. So, you reflect and then you translate. Say, for example, example 4, you're going to perform here a glide reflection. So, triangle MNP, by translating the triangle 3 units to the right and 2 units up, then reflecting about the y-axis. Okay. So, una, i-reflect mo muna. Ay, i-translate mo muna 3 units to the right, look at their dissolution, and then 2 units up. Then after you translated your triangle, you do the reflection. It says here about the y-axis. Okay, careful kung anong figure, kung anong axis pinapa-reflect. So it's about the y-axis. So look at your drawing there. And for your letter B, you have there the isosceles trapezoid, LOVE, L-O-V-E, by translating the figure 2 units to the left and 3 units up. Okay? So yung nasa bandang taas na malapit sa x-axis, yan yung kanyang translated, and then followed by a reflection about the x-axis. So look at there the reflection, bandang taas. So that's how you apply reflection, translation, and glide reflection, which is a combination of translation and reflection. All right, so why we discuss that one? Because that will be very helpful in identifying a certain exponential function, how many units it shifted leftward or rightward, upward or downward. All right, so let's go to page 113. You have there exponential function. Again, it can be written in the form f of x, okay, equals b It's not b of x, but b to the power of x. It's a different thing when you say b of x and b to the power of x. Look at here your x. X now is your exponent. Okay, b is your base. So you have there an example. Let's just say if you have f of x equals x squared, is this an exponential function or not? F of x equals x squared. Okay, it is not an exponential function because the base here is x. Okay, dapat yung base mo dito is a number greater than 0 but not equal to 1. Okay, and then how about f of x equals, let's just say 3 to the power of x. For this example, 3 to the power of x. Is this an exponential function? Yes or no? Yes, this is an exponential function. Okay, because your exponent here is your x. How about this one? F of x equals 1 to the power of x. Is this an example of an exponential function? Yes or no? No. Why? Because as part of the properties of an exponential function, b here must be greater than 1. Okay, so since it is 1, then it is not an exponential function. Again, greater than 1 and not equal to 1 for your base. Okay, how about let's just say f of x equals x to the power of x. Is it an exponential function or not? Okay, it's not an exponential function because both the base and the exponents are variable. So it's not an exponential function. Okay. How about if we have here f of x equals 3 to the power of x plus 1. Is this an exponential function? Yes or no? F of x equals 3 to the power of x plus 1. Yes, it is an exponential function. Okay. So as what I told you a while ago, in graphing an exponential function, the same with the other functions, you need to have table of values, then just graph. Okay, you can have any values, and then when you graph and connect all those points, then you will have an exponential function. So you have there different examples of an exponential function. Okay, let's just say example 5 there. Sketch the graph of y equals 2 to the power of x, y equals 3 to the power of x, and y equals 4 to the power of x in one plane, and describe the significance of the constant b. Constant b dito is 2, 3, and 4 in the equation y equals b to the power of x. Now you have there values ranging from -3 to +3 for your x values, and then you substitute that one to your exponential equation or exponential function, and then you will have that values. Okay, now what can you say about its graph? Okay, let me share here Desmos. Let's try Desmos, and then new share. All right, we have here Desmos, and then we will compare now the different graphs. F of x. Let's just say 2 to the power of x. Let's compare all those graphs. That's the graph for f of x equals 2x. That's the graph for f of x equals 3 to the power of x. Now look at now the three graphs, guys. Okay. The red one is your f of x equals 2 to the power of x. The blue one is your f of x equals 3 to the power of x. And your green one is your f of x equals 4 to the power of x. Now look at there kung saan sila nag-meet lahat. Okay? Saan sila nag-meet lahat, guys? All the graph passes through what point? Look at there. Saan dumaan yung lahat ng graphs? Yung tatlong graphs. At what point? When you say at what point, you have to tell me the coordinate. Because if you say just one can be located either in the positive x and positive y. It's 0, 1. Okay, it passes through the point 0, 1 as one of the properties of an exponential function. Now look at here the distance. Okay? Tingnan mo dito, okay? Tingnan mo yung kanyang distance from yung red compared to your blue compared to your green. Okay? They have a certain distance from red to blue to green depende sa kanyang base. Okay? Depende sa kanyang base. Meaning to say, if the base grows bigger and bigger for the same exponent, it will go closer and closer to your y-axis. Let's have another equation and see the relationship of these functions or graph. Let's just say, let's make the base large enough. Let's just say 100 to the power of x. Look at there, 100 to the power of x. Still, it passes through the point 0, 1, but the graph there goes closer and closer to your vertical axis or to your positive y-axis. Okay? So, looking at this equation, the y-intercept for all this equation, okay, the y-intercept for all this type of equation is just simply equal to 1 because when you get the y-intercept, you're just going to equate x equals to 0. Now, any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, kahit gaano kalaki yan, 1,000, 1 million, basta erase mo yan sa 0, equivalent to 1. Okay? So, the y-intercept of this function y equals b to the power of x is just simply equal to 1. Moving on, page 116. So again, in this equation, the line y equals 0 is the horizontal asymptote. Okay, for functions f of x equals b to the power of x. Now you have there sketch the graph of y equals 2 to the power of x, y equals 2x minus 1, and y equals 2x minus 2 in one plane. Okay, we'll replace this equation 2 to the power of x and then 2 to the power of x, but the exponent is x minus 1. No. Oh. The power of x minus 1 and x minus 2. Okay, now we have here the graphs of this function f of x equals 2x, f of x equals 2x, 2 to the power of x minus 1, and f of x equals 2 to the power of x minus 2. Look at here that this is the graph for your equation. F of x equals 2 to the power of x. This is the graph for your equation f of x equals 2 to the power of x minus 1, and this is the graph for your equation f of x equals 2 to the power of x minus 2. Now, what can you say about these graphs here? What can you say about its position? Okay, what can you tell about its position, guys? This is 2x minus 2. Okay, look at here the distance between the two. What can you say about its position? Look at here. Ano yung kanyang, what can you say? Negative 0.5 sa y, 2 units. Okay, so if you have noticed, this graph here for your f of x equals 2 to the power of x, it shifted comparing your graph, itong naka-blue, comparing that one to the red one, it shifted 1 unit to the right. Since it's -1, it shifted 1 unit to the right. Okay? And then comparing your green graph to your red one, it shifted 2 units to the right. Okay? It shifted 2 units to the right. Now, how about if palitan natin? Let's try yung sa blue one natin, let's just say, gawin natin 2x. Instead of -1, gawin natin +1. Look at there. Di ba kanina ang blue in between ng green at saka red? Ang blue. Now look at here now the graph of blue. It is now located to the left of your red graph. Meaning to say, it now shifted to the left side. Yep. So kung -1, it shifted to the right. Okay? Kapag +1, it shifted to the left. Base doon sa isa mong graph. Okay? Dapat syempre may pagbabasehan ka. Yeah, parang sa conics. Kasi pag wala kang reference point, syempre you cannot say that shifted either to the left or to the right. So make sure you have a reference graph, reference equation. So how about if itong x minus 2 gawin natin +2? Look at there. Di ba? Nandito yan kanina. So pumunta na yan dito ngayon. Okay? And if we are going to change, let's just say, let's make it a bit larger. Let's just say +6. Look at there. Yung forma pareho pa rin, pero it shifted now, depende sa plus dito. Again, kung plus, shifted to the left. Kapag minus, shifted to the right. Okay, nakuha? Now, let's go to example number 7. You have there f of x equals 2 to the power of x. The other one is f of x equals 2 to the power of x minus 1 to the power of x minus 1. It's not the exponent. Yung -1 is not the exponent. You have there f of x equals 2 power of x but minus 2. Okay. Look at there. Tingnan natin yung forma ng graph natin. Look at the result of the graph. What can you say about the shifting of the graph? Okay. It doesn't shift either to the left or to the right, but it shifted downwards. Okay, look at here. Ito yung red. Yung red natin, ito yon. Since -1, okay, 0, 1 yung point natin dyan. Now, since -1 dito, it shifted 1 unit downward. Kapag minus, 1 unit downward here. It shifted 1 unit downward. Okay, -2, it shifted 2 units downward comparing to your red graph. Okay? Kapag minus. Ayan. So therefore, kapag i-plus natin yan guys, gawin natin +1 yan, where could be the position of your graph? Upward. Okay, we'll see. Let's replace that one with plus. Diba there? Yung blue kanina. Reference graph natin is yung red graph. Gawin natin tong plus. Ayan. O, diba? From here, from your 0, 1, it shifted now, yung blue mo, since it's +1, it shifted now to the 1 unit upwards. And yung +2 mo dito, itong green graph, it shifted 2 units upward. Okay, nasundan? Nasundan yung graph natin? Okay, good. Now, how about, let's go to example 8. Okay. How about if ganito yung graph natin, guys? 2 to the power of x and f of x. F of x equals, what happened? F of x equals -2 to the power of x. Look at there, guys. Okay, ganito. Tingnan natin ha. F of x equals 2 to the power of x is your red graph. Your black graph here is your f of x equals -2 to the power of x. What can you say about the relationship between these two graphs?
Afternoon, sir. Sorry po, late.
No problem, Gwen. So, guys, what can you say about the relationship between these two graphs? F of x equals 2 to the power of x, and then f of x equals negative 2 to the power of x. Okay, mirror, or we use the term reflection. Okay, it reflects with the x-axis. Okay, reflection siya sa x-axis. Kapag yung negative, guys, is nasa base, okay, reflection siya sa x-axis. Okay? Again, natanda natin kapag yung base ang ginawa natin, binago natin yung sign, magiging reflection siya across the x-axis. Pero, pag ang babaguhin natin, let's try baguhin natin yung exponent. Okay? Ang reference point natin is itong 2x. Instead of 2 to the power of x, gawin natin na 2 to the power of negative x. Look at there. 2 to the power of negative x. What can you say now about the graph here? Kanina, across the x-axis. Ngayon, is it gliding? Gliding ba yan? It is still reflection. Yeah, it is still reflection, but across the y-axis. Okay, it is still reflection, but across the y-axis. Okay? So, tingnan nyo yung difference ha. Kapag ang exponent ang binago natin, it will be the reflection across the y-axis. Kanina, kung base ang binago natin, it is the reflection across the, what do you call this one, the x-axis. Okay, now how about if we are going to add values so that we can say there's gliding. Okay, let's just say itong 2 to the power of x plus, then dito lagyan natin ng plus 1. Ito. May reflection na, tapos padamihin natin na may reflection na. Ayan, reflection na yan, tapos nag-shift pa siya 1 unit downward. Okay, ano, that's plus, so that's 1 unit upward. Look at here, guys. If it's negative 2x, that's a reflection. But if you are going to add 1, guys, where will be the expected graph? Will it be shifted downward or upward by 1 unit? Kapag mag-plus 1 ka. Nagre-reflect na siya, pero pag maglagay ako ng plus 1, the graph will shift 1 unit upward. Okay, plus 1. Pero kung minus 1 yan, minus 1. Look at there. Okay, reflected pa rin siya across the x-axis pero 1 unit downward. Okay, nakuha? Okay, so now let's have an example of some graphs if we can describe the graph according to the number of units it shifted either to the left, to the right, upward, or downward. Okay, let's have another one here. Okay, how about if ganito? Ito muna. Yung may shrink at saka nag-stretched ang graph. To the power of x, and this one here, y. 2 times 2 to the power of x. Okay, so look at here. Your graph, the red one is your f of x equals 2 to the power of x. And your black one is your graph of f of x equals 2 times 2 to the power of x. Now, what can you say about the graph of the one in black? What can you say? It is stretched upward. Okay? If you have noticed, it is stretched upward. Ilang units ba siya na stretch upward? Ilang units siya na stretch upward? Okay. Kung ilan yung value niya. Okay, vertically stretched by, okay, yung number niya dito, 2. Okay, it was vertically stretched. Another one, let's have another graph. Okay, let's add here f of x. Pero gagawin natin tong 3. Okay. So, again, yung 3 dyan, ayan, it is still stretched upward. Okay. So, if you increase the number here, which is your y-intercept here, so it will go upward and upward. Okay. Vertically stretched yan. Okay. How about if ipa-shrink natin yung graph? Kung ipa-shrink natin yung graph, we will just replace the numbers here 2 and 3 by a fraction. Let's just say, let's make 2 by 1/2. Para ba yung 1/2? 1/2. Ayan. Then ito, let's just say 1/4. Okay. So, itong graph natin, this one, is your f of x equals 2 to the power of x. Now, since 1/2 yung value natin dito, then it shrinks. Then ito naman, ito yung graph natin is 1/4 2 to the power of x. Therefore, kung palit na palit ito, let's just say 1/100, yan, it will shrink or closer and closer to your x-axis. Okay? So, magdedepende yan sa value natin dito. So, kanina, vertically stretched upward. Ito naman ngayon, vertically stretched downwards. Okay? Vertically stretched upward and vertically stretched downward. Okay. Let's go to page 120, guys. Go to page 120. We are given an equation 1, and then we are given with equation 2, and we try to identify the transformation done to equation 1. Okay, that yields the graph of that of equation 2. Okay, page 120, yung sa letter A. Okay, without looking, page 121. Okay, do not look at page 121. You have their letter A. By analyzing equation 2 compared to 1, what can you say about the transformation done? Okay, tinan mo, di ba? Y equals 3 to the power of x is your equation 1. And your equation 2 becomes y equals 3 to the power of x plus 1. What happened there? Does it shift to the left, shift to the right, shift upward, shift downward, vertically stretch, upward, vertically shrink, downward? So, titingnan natin. Okay. It shifts the graph. Okay. Shift to the left. By how many units? Okay. Kung ano yung plus dyan, it shift to the left 1 unit to the left. Okay. Shift the graph of your equation 1 unit to the left. Okay. How about letter B? Letter B, the plus 3 there is not an exponent. Okay. Kapag hindi siya exponent, either upward or downward. Kapag hindi exponent, yung naka-plus or minus. So since it is plus, then that is shifting upward. Okay, that is shifting upward. Pag minus yan, shifting downward. Letter C, negative 4x. Your negative is before your base. Therefore, what happened? What can you say about the transformation? Then you will have a reflection. Okay? Reflection, but dalawa yung pwede maging sagot natin sa reflection. It may be reflection across the x-axis or reflection across the y-axis. Now, since the negative there is beside the base, therefore the reflection is across the x-axis. But if the negative is on the exponent, then the reflection will be across the y-axis. Okay. So letter D there, dalawa yung meron ka sa letter D. Sa letter D, meron kang reflection across the y-axis, and then may plus 1 ka, which is not an exponent, then that is shifting the graph Upward or downward? If it's plus. Okay, upward. 1 unit upward, correct. And for your letter E, you have there negative besides the base. So that's going to be reflection across the x-axis. Okay, your exponent is the same, but meron kang minus 3. Then that's going to be shifting upward or downward. If minus 3, that's going to be downward. Okay, that's going to be downward. Very good. Okay, let me share screen here. Okay, saglit lang ha. Nagnanakaw ako ng oras saglit. Lagi naman ako nagnanakaw ng oras, di ba? Okay. How about this one, guys? If we have an equation y equals, let's just say, 4 to the power of x. That's your equation 1. And your equation 2, let's just say y equals 4 to the power of x minus 1. Okay, describe to me the transformation of this equation. Comparing your equation 2, yung nasa right side, to your equation 1, yung nasa left side. Sa group chat, please. I-complete nyo kung ilang units mag-shift, upward ba, downward, leftward, rightward, reflection ba across the x, reflection across the y-axis. Right or left? That is plus there, huh? Oh, no, minus. That's minus there, huh? So that's gonna be shifts 1 unit to the right. Okay, shift 1 unit to the right. Okay, very good. Now, how about the same equation? Ito pa rin pagbabasehan natin. Then we have here y equals negative 4 to the power of x. Okay. Give me the transformation of this equation. Okay, very good. Oops. Careful, careful. Yung negative natin, katabi ng base. Okay, reflection across the x-axis. Very good. Another one. Same graph, same equation pa rin. And then we have here 4 to the power of negative x. Okay, reflection or reflected across the y-axis. Okay. Now, how about if we add here plus 2? Y equals 4 to the power of negative x plus 2. Ayan. So, transfer, glide reflection. Bali, dalawa na to dito. Reflected across, okay, unahin nyo ha, you work left to right, so mauna yung negative x na nakita natin, so that's going to be reflection across the y-axis and shifted 2 units, that's plus there, so that's going to be upward. Okay, very good. Last one, alas tres na. Y equals negative 4 x plus 1 minus 2. Ayan. Tatlo. Tatlo yung makikita nyo dyan. Y equals negative 4, x plus to the power of x plus 1, and then minus 2. Tatlong transformation na makikita natin sa graph na yan. Okay, very good. Reflected across the x-axis, tama. Shifted 1 unit to the left since it's plus 1. Okay. And then shifted 2 units. That's minus 2. That's going to be 2 units downward. Yun. All right, very good, very good. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for participating. So I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow. By the way, guys, announcement. By Thursday, I haven't announced it last meeting. By Thursday, can we have our first quiz about gases for chemistry? Thursday? About ano lang, gases. Gases ba yun? Yeah, gases and the atmosphere, chapter 4. Okay. Thursday, we'll have our short quiz, gases and the atmosphere, chapter 4. That's going to be Thursday. Okay, take note of that one. Thursday, chapter 4, first quiz, gases and the atmosphere. All right, so thank you so much, guys, for your time, and I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow for our chemistry subject. We'll continue discussing chapter 5, electron configurations and the periodic table. All right, see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks so much for your time. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you po.